Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another issue of Mortal Realms magazine. As per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, drop a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys and it goes a long way to help the channel out too. So drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. So without further ado, we're on issue 62 this week. With this issue, not only have we got the Citadel schools that we're supposed to be getting, so you've got all your human schools, you've got broken schools, you've got demon schools, you have some orc schools and ogre schools and giant schools and stuff like that, and you also have some 40k orientated schools. So yeah, lots of good stuff to have, very handy. Make sure you keep hold of them. You can use them as objective markers or base decoration, entirely up to you. If you want more, buy a second copy of this issue, because for £8 you are saving about £8 if you bought a box of these schools, so it works out pretty handy. If not, you can find loads of sellers on eBay who sell resin schools, and they sell them in the hundreds, so it's always worth having a look for them as well. Into the issue itself, we have a page about the Order of FYRESLAYERS. So the FYRESLAYERS are Dwarden who wield the furious power of flame. They endlessly hunt for the mystical material known as Urgold, an enchanted metal that gives them great strength and power. This quest has led them to work as mercenaries, swearing unbreakable oaths of service in exchange for payment. So, with the FYRESLAYERS, not being exactly like other Dwarden, they don't wear armour as such, but they use Urgold, which allows power to flow through their bare skin. The Urgold are formed into runes and then embedded into the flesh of the FYRESLAYER. So FYRESLAYERS are of course descendants of the Slayers that were available in Warhammer Old World and everything like that, so your older stories. So if you ever read any of the Gotrek and Felix book, Gotrek is actually a Slayer. He is a Troll Slayer, a Demon Slayer, a Skaven Slayer. So he's been around for quite a while and he has done a lot of good stuff. And heroic deeds and everything like that. With the FYRESLAYERS, they worship the Dwarden god of Grimnir, who was slain during battle against the legendary salamander Volcatrix, and his essence was transformed into Urgold itself. So they worship the metal. It is very precious to them, and they create these awesome runes that imbue superpowers and everything like that. So it's kind of like does it kind of develop their own armor that way. But these Urgold runes can deflect blades, they can increase their vigour and everything like that, or the lifespan and everything like that as well with these FYRESLAYERS. So they do a lot of good stuff for them. With FYRESLAYERS, they generally live in lodges and magma holds. So every FYRESLAYER lodge has its own skills and traditions. They make their homes in vast underground fortresses known as magma holds. Here, the FYRESLAYERS forge their weapons, worship their gods, and train for the next battle. And then there is also Vostarg Lodge, just mentioned here as well, which is one of the oldest and most famous FYRESLAYER lodges that is based in Akshi, where they've lived for centuries, and they have a reputation across the mortal realms for their skill and brutality as mercenary warriors. On the other page there are also the kind of detailing of the different FYRESLAYERS around, which have this huge plume of crest of hair and everything like that. So there are Auric Rune Masters, who are the high priests. They conduct holy rituals and have an unusual knack for finding hidden deposits of Urgold and forging them into runes themselves. The Rune Sons are essentially kind of heirs to FYRESLAYER lodges, and kind of going along that way, and hope to impress their fathers a lot of the time. There are the Doomseekers, who have undertaken a death oath in order to make up for a broken vow or some other personal shame, and they don't rest until they find a death worthy of an epic saga. So with the Doomseekers, you would also count Gotrek as a Doomseeker, because he is vowed to seek his own doom and everything like that as well. So that's where the idea behind them comes from, which is the old Slayer idea. So in the old world, if you were a dwarf and you committed a crime, you had to atone for some kind of sin, or you had broken a vow or anything like that, which of course oaths are very, very serious in the dwarven lore and history and everything like that. Then you would take a vow to become a slayer, so you'd have the sides of your head shaved into a mohawk, and you would be challenged with essentially finding a heroic death and everything like that as well. That is your aim, and it leads to some, relatively fantastic kind of escapades in some of the novels as well, which is really, really good. There is also the Hearthguard Berserkers, which are champions of Fyreslayer lodges, and they're organised into elite units as well, and they act as bodyguards to the lords of their lodge, so these guys are really, really tough as well, so they're pretty cool. A lot of good stuff with the dwarves. They are really, really fascinating. A lot of good history and lore with them. The idea with the runes being embedded into the skin, imbuing them with power, is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool idea as well. Going forward, we've got more about the Realmgate Wars, which is the War Unbound. The first battles of the Realmgate Wars was quickly gave way to a storm of conflict across the mortal realms. As Stormcast Eternal struck, hope began to flourish. Allegiances were reformed, while ancient evils and destructive forces that had laid dormant for centuries rose again. So, going through more of the Realmgate Wars, so this was when the forces of Azir were kind of breaking out and kind of reopening the gates and everything like that, and kind of going through the realm gates to drive back the forces for chaos and everything like that as well, which is pretty cool. So there is the slaughter of the Hammerhands. Despite the Hammerhands having many triumphs over chaos during the Realmgate Wars, they were utterly annihilated by Archaon at the Battle of Mount Kronos. The Everchosen is not just a great warrior, but a genius tactician and planner, and he sought to gain the knowledge of a Lord of Change, Cianthus, who possessed the ability to see the future. So, the battle and the slaughter of the Hammerhands. So, a lot of the Hammerhands were actually destroyed and everything like that as well, and slain. And during that battle, but eventually, of course, Hammerhands do come back as well, which is pretty cool. That is the kind of plus point to the Stormcast Eternals. They have that ability to be reforged at some point. You have a section here about how to build objective markers. So there are many ways of doing it. There are no wrong ways. If you want to, you can use parts of your sprues to kind of plonk bits and pieces on, and then build up an objective marker on there. If you want to use them on base, you can buy bases as well. You could always do them with that if you wish to. Just make sure you really securely glue these down, build it up around it, make sure you hide whatever's underneath it, and you can have a bit of fun with it. You can get some really cool little deposits going on, and everything like that. You can use some of the spare bits and pieces from other sprues as well, like whether it's vials, scrolls, weapons. So Stormcast, there's a stave there's a sword knocking around or two, and a couple of shields as well from the Hexwraith set that you can use. So a lot of little bits and pieces that you can kind of bundle together if you haven't chucked them all already, which is always pretty good. Just paint them up and away you go. No, not too bad. Pretty decent idea for some objective markers. I'll even do a build video where I'm going to do some and paint them up as well for everybody as well, so you can kind of see what it's detailing, what it's aiming at with that. Then how to paint kind of also goes through a lot of finishing up Stormcast faces and details. Very easy stuff, in all honesty. You can't go wrong with it, in my opinion. You paint them up how you want to paint them. You've just got a few little bits and pieces that you can add to it, whether it's mouths, adding some highlights on faces, and don't forget the eyes as well, which is going to be the tricky bit. You need a very, very fine tip on your brush to do it, but you can get some really, really cool looks to them as well, using things like a Bad and Black, Padded Witch Flash and everything like that if you wanted to. But yeah, hopefully they don't look, well, some of them faces look a bit derpy really, don't they? But hopefully you'll get some really good looks on them, and they won't be too bad. Also about finishing details as well, which is just adding extra highlights to certain things, whether it's skulls, bones and everything like that, and kind of getting some really, really nice look to some of the bits and pieces as well that you can get on there with some of the models. More cool rules. So this is page 11 for it, which is allegiance abilities, so where you can ally with other armies and stuff like that as well if you wish to. So whether it's say like Stormcast Eternals and say the Fyreslayers teaming up against say like Nighthaunt and Skeletons, or good old chaos, different factions of chaos and everything like that if you wish to, which is always pretty good, which can be quite fun. So if you are going to ally, it's very much kind of decided between kind of different factions and everything like that as well, and order and your kind of your different groupings and your grand orders. So whether it's order, whether it's death, whether it's chaos or destruction. And then you have your battle plan, which is allegiance abilities, which is forces of death, which kind of you can use your allies and everything like that, and allegiance abilities. So if you're using say like Briar Queen and Spirit Host, they have an allegiance which kind of forces minions out essentially, and can do extra bits and pieces and damage and everything like that as well, which is always pretty cool. And then Rising Inferno is for your battle plan. Pretty good stuff. You know, you got more choices as well for everything if you wish to. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun with that, so pretty good stuff. So a fairly easy one really. And next week of course we have 5 Judicators, which are pretty cool looking Stormcast, and I'm quite looking forward to getting hands on those guys. And then we have some Grimghast Reapers, which are reinforcements because we've already had some before, so we're getting a few more, which is all equally pretty fun and pretty cool to have as well. So that is about it really. So pretty quick and easy one. With this issue as well, you should also have in there the battle map that was missing from issue 58. For anybody missing the Dracoline base from a couple of issues ago as well, I'm presuming, and from what I've been told and what I've heard, it's coming next week. So we should have that extra base in theory. May not be 100% true, but otherwise, thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye now.